Gold Bond knows that every glow-up starts with radiant skin. So choose Gold Bond Cocoa Butter Glow for a body lotion that's clinically shown to give you smooth, glowing skin. But don't just take our word for it. 88% of people who tried Gold Bond Cocoa Butter Glow saw glowing skin in just 1 day. Gold Bond Cocoa Butter Glow. Nourish your skin. Reveal your glow. Buy now on Amazon.
By the time I hit my 50s, I'd learned a few things, like how family is precious. Work can always wait. And 99% of people over 50 already have the virus that causes shingles. Not everyone at risk will develop it, but I did. The painful, blistering rash disrupted my life for weeks. Don't learn about your shingles risk the hard way. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist today. Sponsored by GSK.
Welcome back to the Denim Wrapped Nightmares and In Defense of Fandom podcast crossover, Supernatural Music Extravaganza. In this collaboration series, we're looking at the music in the show, the music inspired by the show, and music created by actors, cast, and crew. Today, we're sharing a few of the musical talents on the Supernatural crew, starting with Jim Michaels. I'm going to let LA from Denim Wrapped Nightmares take over from here.
Besides Jim's production work on Supernatural, he's had a long career in television and crew bands. Don't worry, we'll get to that in a moment. Michaels started his producing career on an NBC series called Midnight Caller, starring Gary Cole. He's worked on shows like Lois and Clark, Odyssey 5, and Everybody Hates Chris. And as he told us, nearly all these shows had crews that formed bands to play at wrap parties, just like Supernatural's The Impalas. Here's our conversation with Jim Michaels.
Oh no, music's key to it. It's one of those things that's it's some of the if you do it right, it's some of the best spent money you can put into a show, as far as needle drops and or the score. You know, Jay and Chris Leonard alternated episodes as far as doing the score, and are both accomplished musicians in their own right. You know, they both toured with other big bands and have written big hits and stuff for other stars and stuff. So there's no lack of music around the set ever. And with many shows, you know, not just ours, you know, people get in the entertainment business for a variety of reasons. There's a lot of, you know, frustrated musicians in there. You know, it's well, I mean, you know, the thing is, you get close to it. You know, if you can't be the star opening up for the Foo Fighters, you know, maybe you can be the sound engineer for them. You know, I have to share that, you know, my 40 years in entertainment, music's the hardest one to make it. It is so hard. As hard as it is for actors and television and film acting and painters and you know, music is the hardest one to actually make a living at, because it is incredibly competitive, and it's, you know, until recently very limited to even get your music out there. I mean, that's one of the entertainment business that's changed the most is probably music, because people can really self-publish, and they can sell their own music on the internet, and you no longer need this giant corporation, you know, stealing all your songs and stealing all your royalties and stuff. So you can actually retain a lot of your rights, and you can much more control your destiny and control, more importantly, you know, the creative control of it, and essentially, you know, we all have to make a living. You have to get paid for it too. So it's just one of those unique parts of the business. But there's always been, like, on every show I've worked on, there's always been incredible musicians all over the set. You know, because, you know, sound guy, yeah, he's probably mixed sound stuff. You know, it's you just don't know where it's going to lead.
So this thing that I thought was super unique to Supernatural, not so much.
Well, I think the difference with our show is that I mean, there's lots of musicians. The difference is with our shows, and I have to, you know, this goes back to Bob Singer. You know, we go and we seek out these people on each show we do. So, you know, years ago, Bob and I have done like 8 or 9 series together, and we used to do a show called Midnight Caller, and that one, there was a band there when I came on the show. I was on the show for year 1, I was in 2 and 3, but they had a band, you know, and Gary Cole, who was the lead actor on that show, who's gone on to fame in other things now, but he's the drummer in that, and they had a really tight band. Now it's called Bobby and the Bone Masters. I wasn't available when they started the show, although Bob didn't do the pilot either, so I was never up for the pilot. But I was doing a show called Everybody Hates Chris, which did the pilot at the same time they did the pilot of Supernatural. So I did the 4 years of that, and then they made a change. Bob was looking for somebody to come in on Supernatural year 5, and that's how I came in to year 5. And I got there, and well, where's the band, Bob? I mean, I knew he had a lot of great. I go, Jesus, I heard some guys playing acoustic on the stage. I'm like, Chris Glenn Jones, our boom guy, is a pretty good player, and Tracy and set decks, really good guitar player too. So I started saying, and the 100th party was already in the works, or just being planned, and I thought. So Bob, why don't we put a band together? And Bob's thing was like same with me. He's like, if we're gonna do it, we gotta do it right. Which and all the other bands, you gotta rehearse, you gotta do the whole thing. So we ended up putting a band together for the 100th party. And the only rule to join the band is that you had to be a full-time crew member. You couldn't have I guest starred one day or day played as an extra one day. No, you got to be full-time crew member. And you have to come to rehearsals. You can't just show up on the night and say, "Oh, can I sing one song?" No, you got to come to rehearsals, because for the 100th party, we rehearsed, I don't know how many Sundays. I mean, probably at least 12 or 14 rehearsals and stuff, and it would take 2-3 hours at a time, because we were sort of want to get the set list down to a reasonable number. So Bob's oftentimes the lead singer. I sing on occasion and play guitar, but we had Jeff Budnick, who a lot of people know in the fandom know him because he's the car guy, and so Perry Batista, who also played bass but was in the set deck crew with Tracy, who's an excellent lead guitarist, along with Chris Glenn Jones, the boom guy. They already sort of been playing us. So why don't we? So Jeff said, we sort of split up the bass duties for the 100th party between Perry and Jeff Budnick. We had a rigging grip named Cam Beck, and I had no idea how good of a drummer he was. So it was like he's one of those you shake your head and you're like, wow. Dave Weber, he's our inside Carp, Dave Carp, and unbeknownst to me, he'd made money as a composer for a lot of Canadian television, a lot of Sting, a lot of commercial work. I mean, he was like an accomplished, paid, musician and scorer. Like, holy Christ, he had no idea. So I started figuring out who was around and stuff. And Dave Riopel, who's our Dolly Grip, was a really good singer too. Like, wow. So we sort of started toying with this idea of putting a band together for the 100th party. And so we started rehearsing. And of course, Jensen's, he's one of those people that's good, like absolutely everything. You could show him how to take him to an archery range, show him 30 seconds, and be hitting like 8 out of 9 bullseyes immediately. So it makes me sick. The talent the man has naturally, it's just like, really? Oh, this is a bowling ball. Oh, is 285 a good game?
Not fair. He needs to share some of that talent. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, come on, just all in one person. I mean, come on. So we did a lot of rehearsals for that 100th party. But it's always fun. Like other shows, like when I worked on Everybody Hates Chris, certain bands you don't try to, like, I wouldn't try to sit in. Like we had Marcus Miller, who's a very well-known jazz musician and bass player, and I ain't sitting in with Marcus and his guys. Those guys are real professionals. Like, we just let them go. But so these things, I'm just sharing some of the stories that it's sort of in and around, a lot of television shows and stuff. Some do stuff with it. But back to Supernatural, though, it was like we played that 100th episode, and we were a little nervous, but we also we all really wanted to be good. So we all put a lot of time in. I mean, it wasn't it wasn't just like a pickup, like let's go 2 weekends in a row and then let's just knock it out. It's like, we rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed. And oftentimes the sort of the core group who played in all the songs, they would rehearse on their own. And then like the first hour and stuff, the core group being, Cam Beck on drums and Perry or Jeff Budnick and Chris Glenn Jones on guitar, who was our boom guy, and Tracy, who was the other lead guitarist. They would sort of practice for an hour, and then all the other, because like I didn't play in every song. I think I played like on the rep part. I think I played on 4 songs. I played keyboard. I sang one, played keyboard, helped on keyboards on 2 on another, and played backup guitar on another one, I think, or maybe only 3. I actually don't even remember. I think I reintroduced them through the first song. I think, well, I did the introduction and then stayed up for part of that song, but that Bob and Jensen sang together. So it was just, it's a very, it's very collaborative, but you got to show up, and you can't just, you can't be drunk and stupid and like, no. We're going to do this because people are going to be recording this, and they did record it. We're not going to, not going to embarrass ourselves. But it was really fun though, the 100th party, because everybody was like really surprised, and the thing, and we had other members later on, so the band expanded. But I'll keep most of my comments just the main core group, the original members, not to slight the ones that joined later. The nice thing about the band was every person on that crew knew one person really well, because there were people from off production, people from the production office, people on camera, people from the writer's office. There was somebody in that band that everybody knew really well. Because oftentimes, if you're on the swing gang in Vancouver, you're not going to know who the writer's PA is down in LA. I mean, you might know them by name, but you don't really know them, per se, because you don't spend any time with them. And even in production, if you're always on the set and you're never in the prep, and you're always just on the production side, you're not going to run into the people. You're not going to run into the set decorators or the wardroom or the costumers and the seamstresses that are sewing like crazy talented. They whip out. It's amazing what they whip out of nothing. So you just wouldn't cross paths with them. But because everybody in the band came from a different part of the production, everybody knew at least one person really, really well, which I also thought was nice because everybody felt connected to it.
That's awesome. I know Brad Creasser told me that he's played a couple of songs with y'all, so I guess he was a later addition, maybe yes. The 200th episode. So I'm going to ask you a question not related to the Impalas, just because I'm super curious and I can't help but do it. As a producer, were you involved in acquiring the needle drops that you guys used?
No, I mean, oftentimes, I think Phil Segresha, and Bob had a big hand in picking most of the songs. I mean, the writers oftentimes would write them into the episode. We also had a music supervisor, Alexander Patsavis, who was incredibly talented and had great taste and more importantly had the right connections, because a lot of times you can't get the songs. Oftentimes you have to get them approved. I mean, it's very, very difficult, or cost prohibitive. Like Led Zeppelin. Pretty much if you don't have at least $500,000, don't even bother contacting them.
Mm-hmm.
The exception being Eric pulled off a coup, I think, during the first season of Boys, where they did like a cross promotion or something, or one of his other shows. I forget what they had Led Zeppelin, but they still had to pay Led Zeppelin like a chunk of money. But
I know it was in the Winchesters. I know they managed to get like one needle drop, and everyone was like, "How did this happen?"
Yeah, it was all part of the same deal and stuff. So it can be difficult to clear some songs. Other songs, people are really excited about it. Certainly. Dropping in, Kansas, Carry On Wayward Son, which it's a combination of Phil Segresha and I think the editor or Bob. Some combination. I know Phil had a big hand in it. Putting that in there, have knowing idea that would become our starting at our unofficial anthem is our anthem. In fact, I just saw the guys from Kansas last week. I was in LA and called the guys and went and saw the show, and they were huge fans of the show, and still to this day. Pulling off the surprise at Comic-Con with Kansas there, that was like, that was really quite an accomplishment. We've been trying to do it for years. They always wanted to do the show, and but logistically and time-wise couldn't use it. In fact, they literally were on a plane before our panel was done. So we opened up, I got to sit in the audience for that one, and as they played a well-prepared sort of tape, and we knew we were in Hall H, we get the wraparound, so we shot stuff specific for that. So they're playing the thing, and at the end of it, it's going to start off, the song Carry On Wayward Son starts off a cappella. And so it finally finishes, boom, they drive off, boom, we're heading to San Diego, boom, boom. And so so they start the song. And everybody on is just thinking like, well, that's no big deal. And all of a sudden, but when the instruments come, if they do the Carry On My Way, it's going to be some John. Da 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 da. When that da 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 start, when the instrument started, the lights popped up, and I swear there was like a delay from the audience. Like, wait, they're here. Played. They finished the song, knocked it out, and literally they had to go off the stage. They walked right onto a bus that took them straight to the airport, put them on a plane. Literally, I swear to God, they were in flight before our. That's how tight it was. I think they had a show in, I forget where it was, but somewhere they had to fly to, and literally. But anyway, that was another fun moment with the show. And any Impalas never attempted to try to play Carry On Wayward Son, by the way. I mean, no, just
like it's already been done. We can't upstage that.
Well, we're not going to improve it. We know that.
What some of your favorite songs on the set list? If you didn't play Carry On, what were you playing?
That's funny. I looked up a set list from the let me see if I can find it now. Oh, where is it? I looked up one of the set lists from the 100th party. Let's see. Okay, we started off with Can't Turn You Loose, right into Give Me Some Lovin'. Then it was Soul Man. It was a Dean song. Or Dean, I mean Jensen. A Mystery Train, Keep Your Hands to Yourself, The Shape I'm In, Peace, Love, and Understanding, Gravity. There's a John Mayer song. There you go. You Can't Always Get What You Want. That's one I got to sing. Running Back to Saskatoon. Then it went right into a song called The Right Place at the Wrong Time. And then The Wait. And then what we always ended up with was a Flip, Flop, and Fly. So it was we did like 12 songs. And I forget, we had a couple of people from our wardrobe department had a song about Paris Hilton's head. And it was a trio of women and they sang guitar. It was a phenomenal song. It was just so funny. They cutting off Paris Hilton's head. So that was fun.
I love that. That's a good set.
Yeah. Well, anyway, circling back to the Impalas, but the good news is we didn't play in the 200th party, and we played a couple of the rap parties and stuff, and I think some of the rap parties were a little looser, I'll say, but we had a lot of fun with them. I think the 300th party is the last one we did, and we really rehearsed hard for that one because there was going to be at a very famous club in Vancouver. And we thought, okay, we will never get to play this room ever again. So let's all. So that was great. So that was the 300th episode was a good tight set, and it was fun. It was, like I say, it was great. And then then there was the episode where we needed a house band, and so of course, my idea is like, why don't we just get the Impalas, Bob? Jensen's singing anyway, so everybody knows that. So we ended up putting them in the band in the Roadhouse episode. And they sang the theme song from the old Southern. I'm forgetting. I'm blanking.
Dukes of Hazzard, right?
Yeah, Dukes of Hazzard, right? Yeah. So we go to record that song. So we go in the studio and stuff. We work the same engineers and producers we worked on the 200th episode, for the musical. And so we get in the recording studio and stuff. And the producers look at me going like, "Who's that drummer? It's Cam Beck." Do you think he'd be interested in side work? He was so good that they started hiring Cam. He could get day calling down at one of the major studios in Vancouver as a day drummer, come in as a sideline musician. That's how good he was. Like,
yeah,
good. Yeah, I told you he was good. Yeah, but I thought you were just, BSing me. Like, no, I told you he was really good. And so two guitar players are great, but he goes, I got guitar players falling out of trees. He goes, but this Cam guy's really good. I said, told you he was really good. Okay, I'm going to hire him. Well, just don't take him away from me full time. I need him, but unless you're going to pay him a lot of money, then it's like, God bless. Go ahead.
Right. That's amazing. So speaking of the individuals and Jensen singing and whatnot, I'm curious. I think I saw somewhere that Jensen did like a musical in high school or something, and that was really it. Was the Impalas kind of his first baby steps to the musical performer that he is today?
I don't know for sure. It's certainly through Gas in the Fire. I'm sure he'd sang with other people before. I mean, certainly, that would surprise me if he hadn't. But I think he probably just played guitar himself and sang. I don't know if he ever played another band, but I think that's the first time it really formalized. And through that, I think when that sort of got him back into it. And then I think that's with the conventions, and he started singing with the house band a bit more, and that became so popular. The house band played so regularly that they got to be pretty good, with Rob's band and stuff, and that's become sort of a central part of the whole weekend experience, with the creation entertainment, things is the band, and people, like to hear. They certainly want to see that handsome young man sing, and and the fact is, Jared can actually sing. Not as good as Jensen, but Jared can actually sing. He can sing a note on tune, but he it doesn't interest him. It's not his cup of tea. But he can. He's no slouch. But Jensen, he does well with that.
Agreed. Well, do you have any additional thoughts on music and the creation of Supernatural or the continuation thereafter?
Well, I think, and this goes back, with, Bob Singer, and Kripke too, as well, because Bob and Eric met on the show. But, all the other Bob Singer for show, we always insisted on real music and spending the money for the real music. Occasionally sometimes you can get some real deals if you do a lot of them, and it's something that, that I've learned from Bob, and Bob's done on all the shows, including Supernaturals, that you've got to allow some money in that account, because it just, sometimes your budgets are really limited and stuff. And I'd rather have my composer write something original than have a sort of a sound like that really sounds junky, because just what happens is the audience goes, well, that no, that's not so and so. That's a sound alike, and it's not even that good. And so take them out of it if you can't get it. I mean, sometimes you want to make fun of you want to make fun of a tune or something, or a noticeable sort of line. That's fine to use sound because you can't clear it anyway. But it's for the song, like, find the money for the songs, and don't try to skip on it. I mean, I'd rather have 3 or 2 really good songs in an episode, and then rather than have 5 kind of knockoffs or 10 knockoffs. I'm not talking about source music in the background of a jukebox, at the other side of the room that's just filler in the back. That's fine. That's fine. That's what library music is for. That's fine. And those people need to make a living too, and they make a very nice living at it. But just you don't want to feature a sound alike of Carry On Wayward Son. Carry On. No. That's not Kansas. That'll be the first thing in everyone's mouth. They're not watching the show anymore. They're like, that's not Kansas.
Right. It would take you out of the world that's being built, not contribute to it.
Yeah, you want to, the music's got to complement the scene and stuff, and not take you out of it, and because it also, because both visually, you're trying to, play on people's emotions and stuff, and you build things, and music's an important part of building that, along with the visuals of it, and the way the camera moves, and the choices you make of the pictures in the edit that you show. It helps set that tone. And sometimes you got to be careful so you don't. Particularly sometimes with scary situations, you want to jump scare. You got to make sure you don't hint at it with the little, like, something's going to happen. You got to be careful not to tip your hand either. So,
Sadie had no idea about the Impalas. Whenever I told her, I was like, I'm going to ask Jim Michaels about this Impalas thing. She was like, great. What is that?
Well, it was funny because I guess there was a band called the Impalas, which we didn't know at the time.
Oops.
So I think I think for the roadside episode we did with Jensen, with the band, I think we called them the New Impalas or something, or the 67 Impalas or something.
Give them a slightly different name, just in case.
Yeah, I mean, just sort of differentiate, sort of take it out. We were trying to rain anybody's parade. We're not trying to, not to no offense meant to the Impalas, who's a band, I guess a well-established band. I'm not sure how much of an audience of theirs we're cutting into with our audience, but we certainly don't mean to.
Yeah, as long as you didn't accidentally name the backing band Tame Impalas, because I think that one is actually a pretty big band.
Oh yeah, exactly. You don't want something like that, or say you're them and then play their music badly. That would be an insult. So sometimes it just sort of happens. So. Hey guys, you guys take care. I enjoyed being here, and good luck with the podcast, and keep doing what you're doing, and help celebrate the 20th. God, I can't believe it's been 20 years of this pilot.
I know.
Yeah.
Our next guest was also a band member in the Impalas, although he was more of a guest artist. Introducing saxophonist and camera operator Brad Creasser. Brad served as the main or a camera operator for all 15 years of Supernatural. He also cut his teeth there as a director of photography for the second unit. Brad's other work includes Smallville, Time Cop, Deep Rising, and Fire Country, just to name a few. Here's our conversation with Brad Creasser.
There was a lot of talent on that crew. There's no question. I just had to go into my notes and kind of review, because a lot of the guys, it's like Dave Karp and Cam Grips, and I was like, I should know their last names because, that's like, I was Brad Camera, and we work with these people for so long, but we use our last names now and again, but it's a little water under the bridge since we were there. But no, they were a great bunch, and I played with the band once at one of the it was either the 100th episode party or one of the rap parties. I did one song with the band, and one of our electricians was up there doing the lead singer, and we did In Excess's Never Tear Us Apart, and I did the sax solo. So
You play saxophone?
I play sax. Yeah. Well, I used to. I haven't played as much, but I dusted it off and rehearsed for that, and it was a lot of fun, but I was terrified because I was like, I'm not good in front of people. There's a good reason I'm behind the camera. So.
Look at me bullying you and being like, no, you come talk to me.
That's okay.
When did you start playing the saxophone?
I'm like from school. I was in like marching band and stage band back in my junior high school and high school in growing up in Calgary, Alberta, and we participated in a bunch of music festivals in Europe. When we were in school, we got to go to Europe in grade 11 band, which was pretty cool, and won all these marching band contests in Europe, like in Munich and Vienna, and yeah, it was pretty cool. So we had jazz bands, so I played sax, and we would do our own side gigs and play parties, corporate parties and stuff, just with our own band that we made at school, just to make a little extra cash on the side. But then, as time went on, I stopped playing less and less as I got busier as in the film industry. But I was doing a movie years ago, and there was a sax on set that was being played by a guy, and I bought it off production for a steal, so I got to buy my own sax, and that's what I ended up using to play with the Impalas. And then they actually appeared in one of the episodes with is it Christian Kane? There's a Roadhouse episode, season 14 or 15, I can't remember, I'm terrible with those, that they band, the Impalas actually were the house band in this Roadhouse.
Are you in that episode? Are you in the
I'm not,
stage?
oh, no, I was shooting it, I'm not in it, but it was the core members, which was our boom operator Chris was the lead guitarist, our drummer was one of the rigging grips, our keyboardist was our on-site carpenter, our bass player was our member of the set deck department, and who else was it? Tracy. Oh yeah, another guitarist was also in the set deck department. So it was it was pretty fun. But then we had guests like, even Bob Singer got up and sang a song, and Dave Riopol, our dolly grip, got up and sang a song. Alex, one of our female stand-ins, she got up and sang an Adele song. So it's like, yeah, there was a lot of talent in the crew, and so that we would, they would play all of our rap parties for the last couple of seasons. Instead of hiring a band, we would have the house band of our own people.
I absolutely love that.
It was pretty fun. Yeah, it was a good time. They, like I said, they were also talented, and yeah, Jensen sang with us too a couple of times, of course, because that was, the burgeoning of his musical career. Although I'm sure he's been singing a lot longer, but he's certainly taken it to a new level.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any other stories of musicians behind the scenes? Did you guys have like a playlist that y'all used? I'd like to hear some more about music from the crew perspective.
Yeah, not really. I mean, the band was involved, at our parties and functions and stuff, and then there's a bunch of different shows shooting in Vancouver at the time. Every fall, they have this thing called the Hunker Down Festival, and it's a lot of bands made up of crew members from different shows shooting in town, like Supergirl had their own band, and Superman and Lois had their own band, and Supernatural had a band, and so they would all go and be at this one hall for one night, and it was kind of a showdown of the film people's music, film people's bands from the crews around town, which was really cool. I went to a couple of them, and again, you just see how much talent there is in the technical crew, and the behind the scenes people that don't normally get the spotlight. So that's why it was great when they wrote that Roadhouse episode and put the Impalas as the Roadhouse band. So that was pretty cool. That was great.
Yeah, Jim Michael, he told us about that. He was very proud of that.
Yeah, and of course we had Rick Springfield on for a while, but he was kind of a cool customer. He eventually warmed up to us, but he never really played any music for us. But it was kind of cool to have him there because was well known. He was famous, yeah,
just a little bit,
just a bit. But beyond that, no, it was really just for our own fun, and even some of our rap parties or our pre-Christmas hiatus parties, we would have quite a rollicking party in the studio on the last night before Christmas break, and quite often, the guitars got broken out, and we would be there in the studio, playing on the sets and having a few beverages maybe, and
I was about to say some memory that you're not going to share with me just popped into that brain of yours.
I don't want to give it all up, but yeah, no, it was a good time. It was, just for us, and like, especially, well, again, okay, there's the one episode with Curtis, Metatron, and Rob Benedict, and they're in that bar, and Rob sings a song, and we did like a little music video, but it was just, when I hear that music now, it takes me to a time, like, it was such a special moment, and Bob Singer was directing that episode, and he's very musical. He's really into his music, and just having to shoot this performance of Rob singing, it was Llewyn Davis.
Fare thee well.
Fare thee well. Thank you. But it was that was a really special moment on set. Like, you could just see how it just captivated the crew. You could hear a pin drop, but we were doing this nice, I think we had a techno crane, and we're just doing these nice moves in on Rob and coming around him, and in a great little bar set. And then of course we ended up hanging out on that set at Rap, having maybe a few drinks. But it's just those kind of moments when we get treated to music. And then quite often we would spend time in Jared or Jensen's trailer after Rap, and having a libation, and they would start taking out the guitars and sing. If Rob was there, if we had a special guest star, and Jensen would play percussion or grab a guitar, and we'd have these little impromptu sessions in their trailers, which was pretty cool for just a limited, there was a few of us that had immunity to be allowed into the trailers. The favored ones on the crew. But yeah, it was definitely a big part of it. And then of course, now whenever I hear, Eye of the Tiger or AC/DC, it's like, it's always just supernatural coming to me. Like Jensen on the car, like when we shot that whole Eye of the Tiger, I had no idea what was going on. Like we were doing that episode, and it was I think it was Uncle Phil Sagrisha directing, and we're all set up to go. We had 2 cameras, and then all of a sudden we hear this music, and Jensen's in the Impala, but we don't see him, and then he sits up. Like, I had no idea that was happening. Like, that was really spontaneous, at least for me. Maybe I'm the only one that didn't get the memo, but I'm like, oh, okay, we're shooting this. So just follow along, just go with it. And it's iconic now, and it was so cool to be part of that.
So you were behind the camera during that?
Yeah, I was operating one of the 2 cameras.
And you just ran with it.
Yeah, we're just like, oh, we're doing something. Okay, But we were notorious for our gag reels. Like, we would hit the button on almost everything. And of course, if a scene broke up, we'd have that, and we would put slates on if there was something happening. We would roll camera when nobody knew, because I think our gag reels were better than some of the episodes. We could have done a feature film with just our gag reels for all the seasons, because I just never get tired of watching them, because it was just so much fun. We were so lucky to have that experience with these guys. And I was just back in Vancouver a couple of weeks ago, and we did our first crew panel for Creation at the Vancouver convention, which was really fun. And then J&J came out, and Misha came out in the middle of it too. And we get to see everybody backstage, and it's still just like a family. It's just so cool that we've been together this long, and it's deeply a part of us, and we're all still in touch. I keep in touch with a lot of them. I'm doing another podcast with Rich and Rob in a couple of weeks for their SBN Then and Now, and that's always fun, because those guys, we have so much fun together. And I got to sit in with Rich, invited me to do a film school panel at the last convention as well, because a bunch of really intelligent questions people want to know, like the process of shooting a TV show and what's involved. And Rich became a really great director, and we've been really good friends ever since he joined the show, and we still keep in touch. So that was a bonus for sure.
All right. Well, I have one more music question that I wanted to ask you.
Sure thing.
We haven't been able to get a call scheduled with the music supervisor, Alexandra. We're trying to chase her down, so we're trying to do that, and we haven't been able to get one scheduled with Phil either. So we haven't gotten a whole lot of background information on the music licensing. But like with Eye of the Tiger, obviously that song was playing on set while y'all were filming. How often did that happen?
Not very often. I mean, I think there seemed to be more free reign with the music in the earlier seasons, and then I don't know if budgetarily it became too expensive to license the real music, like the ACD song, ACDC, and Eye of the Tiger. Like, I mean, the thing is, I don't even think that Eye of the Tiger was in the episode, and they just played it at the end after the credits. Like, it has nothing to do with the episode. but they put it in anyways. But they must have made a payoff. But yeah, Phil is the music guy. If you can get to Phil, he organized, like, he even produced albums for a local band in Vancouver, Petunia and the Vipers, and which was a really cool kind of, I don't know, funky kind of hillbilly, folksy, really great music though. And he produced 2 albums for them and shot a couple of videos with some of our crew for Petunia in Vancouver. And even went on took my friend Matt, who was one of my assistants and later camera operator, took him with him, and they went down to some roadhouse in the States, I think in the Oregon coast or Washington, and shot a video with Petunia and the Vipers doing it, and Phil put together this whole little documentary package. But yeah, he's the music guy for sure. Phil's pretty great.
Our final guest for this episode has been featured on In Defense of Fandom and Denim Wrap Nightmares before, albeit in a different role. We spoke with the multi-talented Ben Edlund about his experience being possessed with the extra-dimensional being that is Ghost Tyger. Yes, you did hear that right. When not being inhabited with Ghost Tyger, Ben is a television writer and producer with work on Angel, Gotham, Revolution, Firefly, and he created The Tick. In the world of Supernatural, he was on the writing team for 7 seasons and created beloved characters like Gabe Tigerman's Andy, as well as created some of Castiel's most iconic scenes. Here's our interview with Ben Edlund speaking on behalf of Ghost Tyger.
I am Ben Edlund. As regards Supernatural, I was on the show for about 8 years. I was an executive producer and a writer and a director here and there. And I actually have written music for that show, which is cool. I even have a vocal on Ghostfacers. I'm like the kind of fluty, almost falsetto Ghostfacers. And at one point I did all the verses, but I think they re-recorded it at some time. Maybe I'm wrong, but like it was broadcast with me doing a lot more of it. We did that it was, I think, me and Chris. So that was really fun. But then I've been involved personally in music for a long time, and I've done other music for different shows. I wrote music for Angel. That was they had some cool, we did a pretend children's show, and I wrote all the music for that in an episode called Smile Time. Yeah, I've been doing music for a long time. Around 2011, I started to get, I started to be approached first by mostly just striation. It was like stripes were happening. This is going to sound a little psychedelic and be a little bit, but I've never backed away from, demonstrating myself as only a marginally mentally stable individual. So this is in keeping with my mystique. But yeah, so stripes, and then and then at one point I had no costume for a Halloween party that I was just suddenly supposed to go to, and I ended up painting my face up like a tiger, and it seemed to function as some kind of I am an involuntary channel for an ultra-terrestrial body thief called the Ghost Tyger, who will occasionally co-opt my human form and then make me physically, corporeally, but I don't get to go. He takes over. And then he goes and fronts a band called Ghost Tyger and Friends. I'm involved in every part that's like hard and takes it's like homework.
Right, practicing, scheduling, you have to
all
be there
of
for
it.
that.
Oh my goodness. And then he's just like, oh great, thanks. And then he comes by, which is great, because that broke the barrier for me to step in front of crowds. I had always wanted to, but just was not inclined to do it. I've mostly done writing and behind the scenes work. I wanted to, but I was also not someone who wanted to be in front of a camera. So I don't know, it worked out. our bassist, Jeremy, happens to be a lawyer. So we've worked out a binding contract. I don't know why Ghost Tyger accepts it, but he does. I think it's a game that he likes to play called Law, right? He thinks it's fun. Anyway, so we are an art rock band. We are on the verge of putting out an album, which I'm very excited to buy. And we have 3 songs out on Spotify already.
I've actually listened to them before.
Oh, nice.
They're like a Sublime meets Black Keys. Like I love them.
That's so great. I love those 2 bands. So that works for me. I wish we had better organ in our band, because Black Keys are awesome with that like hard-hitting organ. I play the keys, so I can say, well, sorry, Ghost Tyger, but I'm doing it. The rule is 50% of the time I can say it's not real, and it's not happening. And then 50% of the time I'm supposed to say it's happening. I didn't make up the rule. All right, so those songs will be on the album, but then we've got 7 more songs on the album, and we're very excited about it. And it's and then again, like, where's Ghost Tyger? No, absolutely nowhere. And I'm like trying to figure out which vinyl company to talk to, and I'm emailing and doing all of this stuff, which couldn't be further from my own personal forte. And it's just we need some help. But at any rate, that's coming out soon. We're going to try and put out a vinyl of the album, and then put it on into the ether as well. So,
right. Have the physical copy and also the nebulous internet copy, whatever that might mean.
Something to touch, something to listen to, and then maybe something to wear. And then we'll try. We're also just horrible at getting bookings, although we've done great. We had a residency at the Hotel Cafe for a while, and we get around here and there, but then we stop for like months. I do need to find the means by which that drum can be beaten on a regular basis. So it's even. Thank you so much for wanting to talk about it.
Yeah.
It puts it on the to-do list, and they go, oh yeah.
What are some of the musical influences that have inspired Ghost Tyger and Friends? Because I mean, Burley already described it really well, but also it's like it's got some really interesting, like, absurdist lyricism in it that I really enjoy.
Yeah, it's very much lyrically driven in a lot of cases. I used to think of it as Morrissey and Randy Newman getting into a fight. But it's so it's very narrative, like there's a lot of narratives in the lyrics, and there's a sort of an overall like message. Oh God, whatever the hell that there is an agenda, and there is a world view, in fact a cosmic view that's being put forward, which is not new. It's quite old. It's really so Ghost Tyger stands for 2 things. This is not the music part, the lyrics part. He stands for a pro-cannibalism stance, which I don't agree with. I don't even like eating seafood. I would not eat a person. I would not eat a person. I don't like what people do, and I don't like what they get up to. I don't like where they put themselves. I like people, but I wouldn't eat them. But he wants to promote a worldwide shift to a cannibalism and recycling of human materials culture. Right? So we use the bone and the leather and all of it. He thinks that would be great. He's also a tiger, so pushing the idea of eating people is not like a big surprise. And then the other one is he's basically a panpsychism, like he's a consciousness predates matter. We are invited. This place is here in part because we're here, as much as it's here in part because fiddler crabs are here, but they don't make as much noise as we do. They're just going about their business. They don't look in the mirror and go, am I a good fiddler crab? Well, that other fiddler crab down the way is a better fiddler crab than I am, with more fiddler crab accoutrement, right? And no, so it is.
That's only because they don't have mirrors.
They could happen across one. They could down there. You don't know what goes on, man. Haven't you ever seen like a hermit crab in like an Afrin bottle instead of a shell? And you go like, oh, well, they're making do. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place. What I mean to say is the following: it is an exercise in consciousness, and as much as everything means something and matters quite a bit, it's also, very much in keeping with all the folks on the spiritual path. Like it's also, it's not something to be sweated at the level at which most people who are at each other's throats are sweating it. So he has this kind of touchy-feely, I don't know, hippie message, and he won't stop, right? Yeah, so that's the lyrical side. And then he will freely take from my own personal experience, which is a form of violation, and then just splat it up there. He calls me Mr. Quiet Desperation. Yeah, fuck you. I mean, like, anyway, so, and then music, it's somewhere between, it's like pop and musicals. It's like and it's sort of crashing in there. Like, it is sort of like bits and pieces of a musical that's being hauled out of another space by a unreliable in every way narrator, Ghost Tyger. So yeah, but it's like the whole idea is, if you like the music, it's not just, oh, I like their haircuts and I like their choice of clothing. This is an entire world. If you like this music, you can actually, there's a whole mythos, there's a whole worldview. It connects with other very ancient points of like perspective on existence. And it's it can be a lot of fun if you get into it. Not very many people even know it exists. But that's, that's not my problem.
Unintentionally secret knowledge.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's a cult. It's literally a cult. It's the occult.
No, I love that. I love that there's so much more depth layered within it, and it's not just like, oh, wouldn't this be a funny idea? There's a lot more going on. Now I gotta get out some occult books and start tracking all the lyrics, figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. It is a cult in terms of being hidden. I'm wondering if there's any literally occult. I don't think there's. Mostly it references children's songs. Like, we have a song called Coming Round the Mountain that has Camptown races in it, and someone's in the kitchen with Dinah. Like, more like so something about Ghost Tyger wants to be like a children's television presenter for grown-ups.
A little bit like Cat in the Hat, but for adults. With a lot more references going on.
Yeah, and recently he's been really uppity because we're trying to make an album, and he's got ideas, and he wants to he wants to do things like sit down with celebrities and talk about, like, one is he wants to sit down with someone and say, we need to talk about bismuth.
The element?
Yes, because it's so awesome, right? And then, like, have you looked at it? Right.
Yeah,
and then I don't know if they're making movies or whatever they're doing, but have they sat down and looked at bismuth? Right. And then you just confront them with bismuth. You go, look at that. Do you think the Mayans were looking at bismuth? Maybe. As a design, it's like if you look at those crystal, the crystal bismuth
they're
formulations,
very square, structural.
They're incredible. Right. Anyway, that would just be a starting point. I don't know where we'd end up. So anyway, yes, this is something that is either never going to happen or may happen with great force. The emergence of Ghost Tyger on the scene. If an album comes out, at least there'll be an album. But I've noticed that you can put out an album and it's almost like not putting out an album in this environment, right?
Oh, yes.
In the profusion of everyone's self-expression at this time, now alloyed by a whole other tributary of AI saying, I'm also here and I love black velvet paintings. That's what they all look like to me. But like, there is a huge amount of output there, but I think we're going to add to it.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear this whole album. I wanted to ask specifically about the song Why Not Eat the Dead, which you kind of touched on.
Yes.
Because it's all about, reduce, reuse, recycle, including human body parts.
Yeah.
I think it's the catchiest of the ones that you have out right now. Like, I really enjoy that song.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's certainly, it's got it's most up tempo. Mm-hmm. I would say it's meant to be a jingle for cannibalism. No one made one. After all this time, shouldn't someone? And really, a part of that is like, okay, this is 50%. Now I'm talking terrestrial reality. You think. So it could also be a strategy where, like, if you start putting forward cannibalism as one of your planks, right? They might take some of your other planks a little better.
Right, but this is the extreme idea.
We got cannibalism and, just a sort of a German idealist position, right? Like, what? Maybe matter is not the first thing, right? And they go, but you don't have to eat people or make piano keys out of their bones necessarily. You don't have to, right? And then they go like, all right, I like how they're amenable to my resistance to that. And they have other things for me to concentrate on within their oeuvre.
Yes, a very Overton window shifting stance, I would say.
Yes. But also, like, when you look at us and how we have this crazy sanctity associated with our bodies, very similar to the sort of human-centric thing that really drives almost everything that we operate under. And so, like, shaking that a little loose, picturing you hauling into a steak of grandma, right? And like, maybe making a chair.
I think you and Ghost Tyger need to do a residency at Kutna Hora, which is the Bone Church. It's an ossuary in the Czech Republic where the underground, they've made an entire chandelier of human bones from, I think it's like 13th century plague victims. It's actually incredible art. I was like, this is beautiful.
Don't lick that.
Don't lick it, but otherwise.
There's the catacombs in Paris are
That's what
crazy.
I was thinking of, yeah.
I've been there, and also there's there's a monastery in Rome that has something like that, which is these like art pieces made of all of these bodies. A monk was there in, I think, something more like the 15th or 16th century, and just there's like children skeletons in the ceiling that are made to look like angels with bone wings and stuff, and you're like, whoa, hey everybody, take it easy. But I mean, like, yeah, that would be that would make a fine, I'm sure that somebody would tune in. Ghost Tyger started preaching cannibalism and recycling from the, what was it called? From the ossuary that you were describing.
The ossuary is in Kutna Hora is the name of the town, just outside of the capital of the Czech Republic.
Prague,
just outside of Prague. Yeah.
Wow. Amazing.
It's very cool.
I would go there. I hear Prague's beautiful.
I did want to ask, I mean, since this is technically a supernatural series, you said you wrote some music for the show as well. What was it like writing for a show where it's not about you performing it, or even something that's necessarily like a message that you want to share so much as how do we fit this into the narrative flow? Like, how does that process look like?
I mean, I guess it doesn't change for me in a sense. Like, to me, the collaborative nature of television is great. Everyone's on a raft, we're going somewhere, and there are little victories in all of that when you get some of your sort of personal verbatim essence into this giant thing, which turns out to be way more epic than anyone who was in that writer's room suspected when we were doing it. Like, it would be a lot of hubris to believe we'd be talking about it this long after its cancellation, and that its cancellation would be as long after when we were sitting in the room. Like, it's immense. So for me, it's like, or anyone maybe, but it's not that different, because you're just like trying to throw these things into the public transom, and it's sort of like little molecules of your own essence added to molecules of so many other people's essences. But like in the case of like Ghostfacers, which was the song, I was in the process of being really moved by the idea of like taking over Supernatural with this other pilot. And I was like really in a form of like creative ecstasy that we were like going to go that way. And I thought like, yeah, this is going to be great. I was watching Ghost Hunters. I was getting my head around it. And then I think when I pitched it though, I already had the theme, right? And I already had the name. So I came into the writer's room where with Eric, and I was like, I started singing Ghost Facers, like, and he's kind of like sweetly easy to embarrass. You know what I mean? Like he won't wear a hat because that's too much. Like, like, so when you start openly singing in his face, you maybe gain some advantage because he's anyway. So, but it was like Ghost Facers. They face the ghost when others will not. Ghost Facers. They stay in the kitchen when the kitchen gets hot, and like, and so like that was like part of the initial pitch, and yeah, so it became it was all just so much fun, is basically like it, and that's really only what I try to stay in is, if possible, a zone of creative, supportive kind of. If it's fun, then it's going absolutely great because you know that you're in that mildly elated state from which good things come. So that was cool. And then in terms of going through the process, what's really nice is like you can kind of be a part of the idea. I was able to sing on it and like kind of develop the melody and then have it get just picked up by Chris and everyone else and turned into it, right? And it's like it's a very pleasurable way of doing that. And sort of going, all right, you got that? Great. I'm going to go do some other thing. And then it's on the air. Like my prior complaints were handled in this case. Someone, and I mean, you know, Supernatural, it was like a very, yeah, let's do that kind of place. I've been fortunate to be in a couple of those, you know, like creative situations where it's really looking to find new forms to inhabit and co-opt and subvert. And so, you know, that's a very, in that sort of string of meta episodes that get increasingly meta in the run of Supernatural, you know, the idea that it's such a twisted idea that the Ghost Facers, formerly the Hellhounds, are pitching a show to the network that airs Supernatural, right? Is like, and then it changes in the midst of Supernatural to become, in the midst of the pilot, to end as an actual Supernatural episode. Like all of those like formal, you know, pressure testing, trickstery kind of like choices were encouraged on this show. And I think, you know, that's got to be part of why people live sort of in the world of it, is that it does open ideas about itself and just about entertainment and media and all of it, because it practices these very peculiar inversions, and it's a really interesting bit of culture that I'm happy to have been a part of. And then yeah, Ghost Facers.
Yeah, it built quite a both an open world and also like enough kind of tools in the sandbox that anybody can step in and kind of play with and be like, well, if we think tulpas are like this, then we could expect that, and you know,
yes,
not
yeah.
just fan fiction, but like obviously that's where my brain goes.
Totally. Yeah, of course. And that's like great though, right? What an amazing space that's opened up with all of these pieces. And like I mean, I saw Misha's post recently on the 20th of like, and I think I was I don't think I was on my little social media for anywhere of that week. I should have said, yeah, that was good, but I didn't. But anyway, it was good. I think it was good. It was good that it came on, and I was happy about the 20th anniversary. Anyway, Misha said, like he was going over everything positive that they've done through random acts of kindness and all of the different sort of fan supported or driven altruistic endeavors. Like it's insane. Like it blows the doors off of, I'm going to say, I think it blows the doors off of the Roddenberry I think they're doing
Star
more.
Trek, yeah.
Yeah, like you know, you'll see a little spaceship of Klingons here and there, maybe building a house for habitat for the humanity. I think that's great, but I do believe Supernatural got it beat.
I'm not going to disagree. It was like 250,000 last time I checked that was raised.
It's crazy.
So it's insane.
Yeah, it's all, I mean, that's incredible. Maybe not, but I'm at a point in my life where I can get into a real beef with Star Trek fans. Who cares?
We will not be airing that section of the interview. No, I'm just kidding.
Bring it on. I'm ready.
Well, do you have, so speaking of the show of Supernatural, do you have like a favorite needle drop moment in the show where you're like, this was the perfect use of this song? Or
I mean, there's so many. They're so good. For me personally, the Renegade at the end of Night Shifter is like, but it's also, it was a combination of things. It happens to be a song that I was like, because that's season 2 and they're already like deep into the muscle car culture, American Road and classic rock. And so like, but they hadn't, I was like, you guys, have you thought about using Renegade? Right. And they were like, ooh. And then it was right when I was doing this episode, and the way that Phil, I believe it was Phil Segretia, lays in, and Todd, everybody, the way the music lays in, and they edit it very carefully. Like they split the beat and they bring in dialogue and then they hit, like it's beautifully done. Right. But there's a lot of, I mean, I would say also this is classic, but I think Oh Death is another one of those moments of like, it's about the combination of the music and the editing and the way that he like kills the guy. And it's like, it's the shooting. That was another obviously really good one. I mean, they're all over. Also just the way, when I first signed on to Supernatural, I knew Eric I'd known him from before, and we had talked about maybe I was maybe going to work on Tarzan. So we knew each other to a degree, and then he was like making this show called Supernatural, and I was like, screw you. Like, you can't just take the word supernatural, right? That's not going to work. That's crazy. That's just too generic, right? And then he took the word supernatural. He took it. Okay, good job. I didn't realize you could do that. My next show is called Gravity. No, and then Wayward Son, to twin that with the identity of Supernatural in this way where it functions like a national anthem, and it has this like incredibly potent emotional force for this subset of the population, many of whom would never have heard this song. Because this is like an old song for your dads. This is your dad's fucking song, right? Like, it's not your era. It's not the era of most of the people exposed to Supernatural, but it is their song now, right? And it sort of speaks also to the living nature of something like a piece of music like that. It has found a whole new depth, almost a depth that has repolarized the identity of that song in an almost like time travel way, where you can't go back to before Supernatural to fully, like it has, it's just in terms of like what can happen to music and what can feed into or under its aegis, right? Like, that song is an amazing thing that is now like a signpost to this whole other world of like arcane specificity. You know, I like that crap. I mean, all I really do is make stuff up and think about stuff that was made up. So I really like the flowing reality of that thing and how it moves through Gaines' power, like Gaines' presence from these other, tangent contributions. It's wild. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I love that it is. You're right. Thematically, you would expect Kansas to be like one of like something your dad listened to that you couldn't even get into. And he's like, fine, I'll give you some more modern music you might like. But that's also kind of the show itself, is that like,
yeah,
two young guys on a CW show, but also who are trying so hard to emulate or not emulate their dad. And so it does become this like reflecting on history and which pieces do we want to take and which pieces do we want to take the kind of like stylized what, it's like this idea of like, cowboy movies. You're like, okay, cowboy movies are different than the actual history of cowboys and all those kinds of themes. It's that same kind of like reflection idea.
I agree. Yeah, and that's a point too, is that it really literally was them listening to their dad's music, driving around in their dad's car. Like it was, in fact, a sort of their connection to that body of music may almost be viewed as a sign of the familial dysfunction of that family, right? Like, I didn't take you to school. I didn't introduce you to culture. I taught you how to kill ghosts and listen to Kansas. Like, someone's got to do it. It's just, all of that stuff's really interesting. And then, I mean, like, I've been in so many situations where I've seen, not so many. I've been in a couple of situations that felt endemic, where I've seen someone of my generation trying to convince someone of any next, subsequent generation, you got to listen to this Jethro Tull, right? It's going to change your life. And I'm going like, it's not going to change their life. Stop trying to make them listen to this weird stringy ballad from the 70s with a fucking flute over it. Stop it, right? It's not going to work, but it works if you recontextualize it and turn it into scripture, right? Which is what Wayward Son had done to it, right? And then it's like, because that song's amazing. The production on that song, the places it goes, the breadth of it, it is a piece of art that should not be just discarded and left beside the road, as is many of the, works that we look at in the rearview mirror. Yeah, talk about recycle and reuse. Eating all the meat on that one.
Yeah, we picked that one clean for sure.
Yeah, snout, tail, hoof.
So whenever I think of Ben Edlund, I think of you. Okay. Yeah, I think of several of the characters that you've created thus far, and one of the first ones that pops into my mind, I imagine that Sadie's going to be on the same page with me on this, is Andy. I love him. So I'm curious, if he were to have a show of some sort or a movie or something, and he is making a dramatic entrance into a bar or set scene, whatever it is, what is his needle drop as Andy enters the room?
Right. I mean, actually what we used was good, which I think was Stonehenge. That's like the needle drop on his like van, I think, or I forget, or maybe when he's first like walking through, I believe it was Stonehenge from Spinal Tap.
That is an acceptable answer if that's the way.
Well, no, but that's pre-existing. It requires no creativity on my part.
This is true.
I mean, one thing I will say is I wish that he didn't get killed. I wish that he was a character that lived alongside that, because I thought that, was it Gabriel Tigerman? I thought he did a great job, and he was he would have been amazing, like in season 8, for example, and like he is someone you can go to, and at the end of season 5, if you need to go into this pharmacy place, let's get Andy. And he's just walking in and going like, get out of here. You want to give me that. And like, I mean, like it would have been lovely, but we had a very high kill count on that show. But anyway, yeah, if he had survived, well, he was about like, it would have been Don't Worry, Be Happy by Bobby McFerrin. Because basically, he just puts you at ease. You're like, don't worry about it. And then you're like, oh, I'm not going to worry about it. And you're like, don't ever again worry about it. Okay, I'll never again worry about it. Stop smoking. Okay, I'll stop smoking. Like,
Andy would never say that.
Stop smoking?
Depending on what we're talking about. Smoking.
No, of course. No, he would say, take me to the dispensary is what he would say. But, stop vaping nicotine. What's the point? It doesn't make you look cool, so I don't know what it's for. I don't either.
I don't understand. I don't either. And then a serious question. You had mentioned earlier in our discussion that you do vocals and keys for
I
Ghost
do that.
Tyger. Do you play any other instruments?
I play guitar. It's a very self-taught mode of guitar that is a scratchy, scrubbly, almost percussive thing. I like it, but it is limited. And then I'm actually trained. I was trained on the recorder.
Ah, yes.
I was trained on the recorder. I was in a recorder orchestra in middle school, which is like hell on earth. Like a recorder orchestra with 30 different recorders, like alto to like bass. Like, no, it's anyway. So
Hell is a waiting line in front of just a recorder orchestra. That's the
yes,
new. That's the
you don't even
updated
know.
hell.
You're just in a circle going slowly around it. You don't even know how bad it is. You go, now we're going to do Suicide is Painless with a recorder orchestra.
Did you still have to do that, Sadie? I know I had to do it.
Yes. Oh yeah. I think we had to buy our recorders too.
Yes.
So
I
like
don't
when I
think
moved
they
out
do it anymore though, and that makes me sad.
Were you in a recorder orchestra?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't. Yeah.
They made us stand outside on like the rafter type things.
Yeah. Yeah. You were on the bleachers doing it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Whose idea was it to, after the first one was made, how did they go, let's do it again?
I learned we had to learn Smoke on the Water, and that song was ruined for me for like a decade. All you could hear was that on the recorder. You're like, I hate this song.
How can we make this impossibly shrill? Yeah. So those are other instruments that I have played. Yeah, I mean, piano is what I sort of learned how to be with music on. My father was a kind of a not a bad lounge jazz pianist and also like a polymath. So he played like, I mean, among other things he was doing, he played like saxophone and brass instruments and accordion, and like he was just all over the place. So that was a real demonstration of it's what you need, I think, to be authorized to even begin on that road early, is music in the home demonstrated by a family member where you go, well, this is clearly a possibility. This is a thing that exists. And then the tools to make it on your own. We had an upright piano. We had a lot of like vibraphone. We had a bunch of stuff around. So I was, I mean, I've said it, I think, before, just very, very fortunate in terms of my upbringing to have like all these sort of spheres of creativity that were already being tested by my dad. So the tools were around and I could sneak in and mess up his tools when he wasn't around. Where's my hammer? But like, it was a very fortunate place to get a little precocious with that stuff, because not everyone would have the opportunity as a kid to be as exposed as early. And that's, I think, what played into my advantage, apart from natural charm, of course.
All right, so we have piano, recorder, guitar. There will be a recorder solo on the next Ghost Tyger album.
You're right. That should be like and really like blast it out. Like okay, I'll take that challenge.
Challenging,
yeah. Make it like a hidden track at the end of one track where there's like, like 30 seconds of silence and then it's the hidden track.
It's got to be on our, oh God, yeah, that's good. Like, well, it's going to be in the future. But it's been great having a band. Like, having a band is a thing that for a long time I did not have the opportunity to have, because you have to really, how do you get one? You have to say you want one, and then you have to ask people to be in it and all this stuff, and then they have to stay. So like, to have that, it's a great little collective where you put music into this human machine and you start to like fine tune it and develop it, and everyone's contributions it's just a great thing to have. So I would recommend it.
Did you recruit this band, or did Ghost Tyger recruit this band, and what was that process like?
So it sort of fell together in a way where there was a point where maybe I was Ghost Tyger more often. I mean, this is true. And I would be like wandering around in this getup. So like I would be maybe in a tree in Venice or like on the boardwalk, things like that. And then Ben had a friend named Drew, who was essentially the founding co-member of the band, where Ghost Tyger had begun to want attention and then like started to understand the music and all of these different elements of culture could actually give him attention, and he could start spouting all this nonsense. So ultimately I was the first representative of Ghost Tyger, and I was like, Drew, I think this thing might need to happen. And then he was like, all right, I guess it should. And so then we started playing like little places around Venice. Our first place we would play is this place called the Talking Stick. So I would paint up, and then Ghost Tyger and he would go, and we would do a duo up at the Talking Stick. And then Carol, who is Queen Kikuyu in our band, she saw us and she was like, oh, I got to take part in this. And then like Jeremy was a friend who it just people got drawn in. There's a thing Ghost Tyger wants, and then people get drawn in, and then they get drawn in, right? So yeah, he started it, and I mean it's ultimately he's functioning as a sort of an idea system, but it was a very compelling, overwhelming idea system which incorporated a transformation I had to go through and like periods of sublimated autonomy. So like, yeah, I don't know. It's been an interesting ride. I mean, like, why not? What are you gonna do?
You don't need your body the whole time. Might as well let him have a go at it.
I love naps, number one.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Oh my gosh. Some people don't.
No, I love them. I love them.
Oh man, a good nap is great. And then I like waking up and go, oh no, is it daytime or nighttime? I like being confused. I like being dizzy. I like a lot of things that maybe people aren't in love with, but like, so like, I mean, as long as you're not always dizzy, right? Or always like can't remember exactly what day it is or where you are physically on the planet. I like those moments. I think they're kind of amazing, right? As long as they're not signs of a greater or deeper condition. Yeah. Anyway, so Ghost Tyger is an altered state that really has only cost me money. Yeah. I mean, it's really been a sinkhole, like a money pit. He actually he had my bank card, and he bought $700 worth of shares of hip hop. And we're like, what the fuck, man? What do you mean? And you're like, now we've got hip hop, we can use it. I'm like, you can't, off a guy on the boardwalk, you don't buy shares in hip hop. Anyway.
He thought that's how Eric Kripke got Supernatural.
Right, buy shares in the Supernatural, maybe. I don't know. Although it's interesting because Ghost Tyger is a form of angel, as far as I can tell, which is strange because I started to work on this shit and then became afflicted. So careful.
Okay. The cannibalism would make you think otherwise, but I buy it.
I mean, not all angels were up to. I mean, he's not an angel pursuant to Supernatural, which is a fictional work. That's just fiction. I mean, let's be serious.
This is real.
This is real. So it's similar to, but not the same.
Got it.
Distorted reflection. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I would say don't worry, be happy. Let's go.
I really loved all of these conversations, like truly, but I really want Ben/Ghost Tyger to take our challenge seriously and create a recorder orchestra song. Like maybe he needs to do Carry On Wayward Son. I don't know. That might be a nightmare, but I'm in for it. I'm ready.
I'm still waiting for his Get Ready With Me video.
What?
Where he does a Get Ready With Me as he transforms into Ghost Tyger with his face paint and everything.
That would be fun.
Brad Creasser cracked me up as well. During that interview, there were so many moments where he was clearly recalling something and he'd just smile really big. And I'd know, like, okay, that's a story I'm not going to get to hear.
The inside jokes that will never come outside.
We'll never know. Nor should we, right? We weren't there.
Jim's interview was so great, but just the fact that we had to cut it down because he knows everybody who knows everybody else in music, in TV. I was like, my guy, you got to stop name dropping. I can't keep track of them all. LA, am I the only one who did not know that the Impalas was a band before this time?
Oh, no, I did not.
Oh, thank God. I was like, how have I not known this? I've been watching the show. I've gone to the cons. No one was like, yes, the crew band, the Impalas. I had no idea. It was so embarrassing.
I feel like, Burley, you do, right? Because I feel like maybe you told me, but I didn't really register it.
I do know that. And I don't know why I know that, because it was something I knew when we were first sitting down and deciding to do this music special, where I went randomly, oh, we should invite people from the Impalas. And y'all were both like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I don't know why I know this. I couldn't tell you, but I did know. I didn't know they were in an episode of the show. That was something new.
New for all of us. At least one new thing for all of us.
Yeah. And I know that Ben Edlund doesn't want attention. Ghost Tyger does.
Correct. Ben Edlund, not on stage. Only Ghost Tyger.
No.
Now for the show's credits.
This season is a co-production between Denim Wrapped Nightmares and In Defense of Fandom.
Cover art for In Defense of Fandom was designed by Liz Hand.
Cover art for Denim Wrapped Nightmares was designed by Rain Zielman.
Music featured in this episode was by Ghost Tyger.
See links to their music and more in the show notes.
If you've enjoyed this collaboration, we want to know. Send us a message on Instagram or Twitter. We love hearing from you.
And while you're at it, make sure you're subscribed to both shows so you never miss an episode.
Also, a review on Apple Podcasts wouldn't hurt either.
See you next episode.
Bye.
Tapping every scrap of green under the open brains of the waving sycamore trees. I read the letters.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.